New sanctions for, I guess, the death of Alexei Navalny. Is that what he's... So what are those sanctions going to be? And he's so scary. Oh, my goodness. Welcome back to the program. Dana Loesch here with you, top of this third hour. Yeah, we're announcing sanctions on Russia. We got a major... He said he's going to be happy to sit with all the press when they do that. Didn't they say that, though, the last time he went out and talked? And then they said, oh, yeah, Biden's going to come out and he's going to take questions. And then that never actually happened. And it was... What? Never happened. At all. What? Didn't happen. Okay. Oh. You can listen coast to coast. Find the live stream. Make sure you also find the newsletter over at Substack, chapter and verse. Always good things. There's also this, too. I wanted to put this up. The U.S. vetoed an Arab-backed UN resolution demanding an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza, as apparently we're pushing for a halt in fighting to secure the release of hostages. There was a vote of the 15-member Security Council, 13-1. The UK abstained. It was the third U.S. veto of a Security Council resolution demanding a ceasefire. And that because there's the assault on Rafah. And everyone's like, oh, it's going to be so bad. Hamas probably should have thought about that before they did what they did. The fact that there are people who are more outraged at Israel defending itself over what Hamas did, none of those people should be taken seriously. Every time I hear ceasefire, I feel like adding more fire. In fact, if I was an elected leader, I would say every single time you call for a ceasefire, we're going to make sure we pop off a couple more Hamas fighters. I mean, let's just... I mean, because honestly, at this point, do you think any of the hostages are alive? Like, I was reading a piece about, they found a video, a proof of life video, but it was not really proof of life. It was just taken a couple of days after. It was the redheaded kids, the little baby who turned 1 year old in captivity, and the toddler and their mother. And she was terrified. She was wrapped in a blanket, and she was trying to protect her boys. And Hamas took them into, they kidnapped them, held them as hostages. And there was a video, I guess, the day after showing them taking her somewhere. And that was the last anybody's ever seen them alive. The husband was taken, too, held separately. And at first, Hamas was saying that they're dead. They got killed because of an Israeli strike. I think they were killed because of you, if they were. Because that's the thing. IDF doesn't necessarily believe whether or not, they were killed or not. And there's also a lot of, apparently a lot of civilians that have been working with Hamas. Civilians, really? Working with Hamas and keeping a lot of the hostages in their homes and all of this stuff. But the media doesn't talk about it because they're very hard pressed to answer why is it that a terrorist government was elected and routinely supported and so popular they were about to take over West Bank too. They just simply don't want to have to answer that. So the White House has also said that if there was a permanent ceasefire, Hamas had control in Gaza, and they would simply retake control of Gaza. They have to be completely eradicated. And if any of these other Arab nations aren't helping, they can STFU. They can go right to Hades. Seriously, go right to hell. Every single time I hear the word ceasefire, I want to blow up more stuff. That's me. Again, this is why I can't be a leader, because that's the type of leader you'd have. Oh, you called for a ceasefire? Watch this. Beep. Building explodes. Do it again. Everything's rigged. Do it again. Let's see how much we can do. I'm not kidding. I'm tired. This is ridiculous. How long has this been going on? Hamas went in, kidnapped a bunch of people. They started all this. They've had these hostages. They could end this tomorrow. They could end this right now. They could let the hostages go and they could end this. But they don't want to end it because they're a bunch of terrorists. They're a bunch of terrorist dogs. That's what they are. So, no. So this UN resolution, the United States should veto it every single time. And Hamas should be entirely annihilated. And that's the other thing. Hamas hasn't provided any proof that any of these hostages are still living. Not even the American ones. They haven't provided any proof of life. I don't see proof of life. I'm going to obtain proof of your death. That's how that's going to work. Jiminy. But they said that they don't believe that Hamas should get off scot-free. That's ultimately, you realize that's what the UN and all of these other entities are arguing. They don't think that there should be any consequence for Hamas. There should be no consequences for them. They should be able to do whatever they need to do, whatever justifies their terrorism. That's what they should do. So they have rejected that, thankfully. There's also this from, I think isn't this guy, Audio Soundbite 18, I think he's part of the advisors to the president, right? So. Admiral Thomas Greenfield, saying that, yeah, you're not going to have a ceasefire. And there's not going to be any peace unless you get the hostages either. Listen to this. Okay, so this is our U.S. This is our ambassador, our U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. Listen.
Demanding an immediate, unconditional ceasefire without an agreement requiring Hamas to release the hostages will not bring about a durable peace. Instead, it could extend the fighting between Hamas and Israel, extend the hostages' time in captivity, an experience described by former hostages as hell.
Yeah. Linda Thomas Greenfield, and she's right. All it does is perpetuate this problem. That's all it does. I mean, it's wild that the United States, who has hostages over there, would be expected to even greenlight something like this from the UN. That's pretty amazing.